Good evening, everybody. It's always a difficult session after lunch, but I hope Dan Martel and James has warmed you up for this session. So I think like when Nathan Latka asked me about doing a session on SaaS Open, like you looked at multiple options like growth hacks and SaaS metrics and this and that, and there's enough content now on the market to learn all those things. So I thought, what can I share from my personal experience? Like we've been in the business for over 10 years, so I learned quite a lot in terms of how to scale the business from 0 to 10 million plus. And I just thought I'll just share more of my experiences building and scaling this business. So my name is Saravana Kumar, and I'm a founder of a company called Kovai.co. So this is a quick, very high-level recap of the company. So the company was started back in 2011. I just, I was doing consulting for 10 plus years, and I found a gap in the market. And I started as a solo founder, and then slowly scaled it to first from 1 employee to 5 employees to 20 employees, 50, and then now today we are about 250 plus people in the organization. So we are over $10 million ARR, but that's slightly old number. So it's a 2021 number. So we are above. That's the publicly disclosed data. So we're also a multi-product company. Like I'm going to touch base on like why we are a multi-product company and what made those decisions to go into a multi-product company. And the mission for us is, when people ask you like you're bootstrap, what are you trying to achieve? And the objective for us is to build a $100 million run rate business by 2030, like sooner if possible. So I just want to go one slide forward. So this is a kind of the growth trajectory, like how we have grown since 2011. So it's not like a hockey stick growth, but it's organic growth of constant, predictable growth over the last 10 years. So until 2019, it was like a steady growth, and like that is when we kind of made a decision, like what can we do to scale bigger. A lot of things changed since 2019. Until 2019, we were only like a 50 people organization. If you wanted to put the number per headcount, number per employee, like it would have been significantly higher when you compare 2019 data. But today we operate more like a VC-funded business model. So we invest pretty much everything, and then we are ramping up everything towards growth. So let me go back. Okay, so today, today my talk is going to be like more on the personal level, like as a CEO, like being grown up this company for 10 years, like what are the things you have learned? And I just bucketed it into 3 different items. Things like at a personal level, as an individual, what are the things I do, and of course as a team, like my direct reports and how do I handle them, and what are the things I practice on a day-to-day basis. And at a company level, what are the things we do. So let me start with the personal thing. I think one of the key things as you grow as a CEO is when you have like 250 people, like one thing that becomes super critical is how do you manage your time. So in my case, I try to keep it as simple as possible, and my calendar is pretty much free. I keep everything in like a 1.1. If this is how my calendar looks. This is a typical week. My entire week is the first 1.5 days. I got the management meetings on the day 1, and then some items on the day 2, Tuesday, and after that, it's all about just ongoing activities, and you try to keep it as free as possible. So I think that the other important thing is, what I learned is everybody got an optimal time, right? I'm a typical like early morning person. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and then first 3 hours is completely, I brought it more like a non-negotiable. So I do only like a really high performing activities, like you don't check your emails, you don't check Slack or Teams or whatever you are using. that time is purely, you do things what you wanted to accomplish on the day. So a lot of times what happens is within the day, within that 3 hours, by 7:30 in the morning, my day is pretty much over. Like you accomplished what you wanted to do on the day. Because after that, once you reach the office around 9 o'clock, you really can't control too much on how your day progresses. So this is something, the habit I build up right from the day one. Because the initial days, since it's a bootstrap company, and the initial days, I built the product myself. And I was working for Fidelity Investment. Some of you from US know the company. So my day is like in the morning, I build the product, I go to work, and that continued for a year, and that became more like a habit. And the second day, enjoy your work, and don't try to do things you don't like. This is kind of counterintuitive. But when you are at the early stages or as a founder, like you tend to imitate people, right? Like you see somebody who's super active on social media, and you try to be that person. You see somebody very good in speaking in conferences. But we need to understand, like not everybody is same, right? You have your strengths and you have your weaknesses. Don't try to do things which you are not comfortable with. For example, I stopped tweeting 5 years ago. I don't get into Twitter anymore, because it's not my cup of tea. And same, talking in conferences, not for everybody. But if you see like somebody is doing and you try to do it, the problem is when you're trying to do something which is not your regular, where your core strength is, it tend to take 5 to 10 times more of your energy, and you might be losing more. You'd rather do things which you are good at. And the third point is, actively working on things. You need to stop working on things on taking tasks. What I mean by that is, your thinking should always be, if something comes along, it should be more of, who can I delegate to, rather than how am I going to do it. So once you touch something, at that scale, when you have 200 plus people, once you start doing things of your own, it's not the most efficient way you can operate, because it won't stop just at that level. You do something and then the follow-up comes and it goes on and on. It always think about how can you delegate it, and how can you pass it on to people when you have a lot of people on board. And the final point is, you tend to do at scale, you tend to do quality is more important than quantity. If you can achieve 2 or 3 really good items in a given week, that's a much more productive week than firefighting with a lot of things throughout the week. There's a difference between being busy and being productive, right? You want to be more productive rather than being busy. If you keep engaging too much on your emails and too much on Teams, and at the end of the day you will feel and also meetings is another killers. If you do a lot of things, at the end of the day you'll feel like you're too busy, but probably you don't have achieved anything. So you'd rather focus more on being productive and doing things which will yield you the right things. When it comes to team, the next I'm going to move, whatever I explained so far is more on the personal level, and the next thing is more on how do you manage the teams. And the first very important thing I want to convey is, as a founder, there will always be difficult conversations, right? Either your key resource is leaving, or somebody is not performing well, or the team, a specific team is not performing at the max. Whenever this as a difficult situation comes in, it's better to engage and try to solve the problem as soon as possible. But the normal tendency is you tend to not to talk about it. You won't give the feedback what's required for the person to perform at a higher level. That only hurts that person, and also the problem won't magically go away. It's going to come back and hurt you. It's better to avoid it. And the second thing when it comes to the team is like more, you're more like a driving instructor, or you can take any analogy where you are like a coach, right? Your objective is to make that person as productive as possible and as soon as possible, because the tendency otherwise is, you try to jump on and keep doing things again and again, and eventually, you can't come out of that loop, but rather, you invest your time. You make sure like you can train that person. You can come out of it. And that's the only way you can scale it over a long period of time. And don't build a flat structure, because what typically happens is when you're in the early stages, like 10 people, 20 people, etc., you try to build a flat structure, right? Everybody reports to you, and it's fine. But once you start scaling, once you reach 25, 50, 100 people, that is not going to help you. You'll have more reporting lines, and you sometimes even struggle with you got 2 people, you need to promote one person, which you can't do it. You keep promoting all of them at the at the same level, and it's not going to go away. So you try to just to don't build a flat structure, and try to build the hierarchy as quickly as possible. And also, in terms of direct reports, you need to don't try to keep it at a reasonable level. 6 to 7 is an ideal number. Anything above that, it's not manageable, because you need to invest your time on them. It's not just so it requires a lot of investment to build a team. So you try to keep that to a minimal level as much as possible. So this is as a sample chart. We try to do it at every level, so that you try to build up the hierarchy as soon as possible. And at the company level, some of the things I wanted to share at the company level. So why we are a multi-product company? There are few reasons why we are a multi-product company. So we were a single product for 5-6 years. And I'm coming from a technical background. I spent a lot of time building the initial team. I invested my time, and we had a really hardcore team we built up in the 5-6 years time. And being an engineer, at some point they're going to get bored, right? Because only so much you can do in a product after some time. Otherwise, you'll be all the core parts are over, and it's more you're building things, patching here and there, and rewriting some stuff. So nothing exciting for the team. That's one reason why we thought we'll go to multi-product, because we assemble the team and then we start building new products, because we know the strength of the team and they were able to do it. The second thing is, you also need to understand your strengths and weaknesses. So we are predominantly, the team is based out of India. We have got a team headquartered in UK. We have about 10 people in London, but the remaining 250 people are based out of India. So you need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the team. It's harder to build a single product $100 million business. Then it's fairly comparatively easy to build a $20-30 million businesses. That is also another reason why we went into multi-product. We also have playbooks of scaling, building products at that level. So that gives a kind of that's one of the reasons why we went into multi-product and into the company. And the second is frugality mindset. One of the examples I want to give you is, still I approve a lot of invoices. Okay, there are it goes through workflow, the people put through everything, but the final approval, the money that going out of the bank, is actually I control it. I won't control it in the sense I have visibility. It's very important to have that visibility, that keeps you having a transparency of knowing how much money is going where. It helps you to be frugal and understanding. So recently I watched a masterclass from Richard Branson, and he mentions exactly the same thing. He used to maintain that approving invoices. He recommends to keep it as long as possible. And the executive reporting is another big challenge, right? How do you know what your team are doing? You need to get some level of reporting. We tried various formats over the years, and what's working great at the moment is, at the beginning of each month, following month, our executive team need to give a document. It's 2-page document. It's precisely, they need to cover it within 2 pages, 2 A4 pages. The first page is all about their personal achievements and what did they do that month. It's more about I rather than a we, because when you have an executive team and when you have 30-40 people reporting to them, it's easy to come and say they did this, they did that, and it's all more of a team update. So it's important, your executive team understands where they are spending their time, And also it's good, like, I personally write my own executive report. I tell the entire team, like, what did I do last month? These are the bunch of activities I did. Like that helps understand everybody. So the executive reporting is basically a 2-page document. The first page is all about the personal thing, and the second page is all about what did they achieve as a team, and that helps significantly. And the final point I want to convey is risk register. I don't know, like, how many of you are aware of a risk register. As a company, there will always be a bunch of dependency risks, right? Like being a founder, there are always some 5 or 10 items that dependent on you. Without you, it will fail. It's good to maintain a register so that at least the team knows what are the dependencies, and if something happens, what could be done. Like for example, the SVB case is a really good example. Like 5-6 years ago, we used to have like banking in a single bank, which is registered on a risk register, because like it's a big risk, and you start listing all those items what you think as a risks in your business, and you try to address it over a period of time. So it's impossible to eliminate all the risk, but at least you can minimize and mitigate your risks if you document it correctly. So this is just a slide showing that the executive reporting, the personal level, and then the team level. So just covered, as I said, I just covered as a CEO, like how your days or weeks are structured. What do you do on a personal level? What do you do at the team level? And what do you do at the company level? So these are our products. So we got 4 products in our company. So the first product, BizTalk 360, is very specific. I don't think it will be appropriate for this audience. It's more of an enterprise integration space. And the second product, Serverless 360, is more of a management monitoring tool for Microsoft Azure. And Document 360, Churn 360 are the 2 products where we are focusing on. Document 360 is a self-service knowledge base. You can think of like if you take a Stripe as an example, right? Is for Stripe to have a world-class documentation is very critical, and they might be having 50 to 100 people working on that platform to produce that documentation. And with Document 360, we provide the platform, so you don't need to focus on the platform itself, and rather you can focus on the content. So for example, Airtable, a lot of you know, like their documentation is running on Document 360 because they have 20-30 people writing documentation, and their challenges are completely different, right? So they need to have a workflow, they need to have some kind of a lot of analytics to understand how their platform is performing, and also at millions of hits per day kind of a scalability. And Churn 360 is a customer success product. It's today we are on subscription business. Retention and churn are the 2 important things, and we got a product which covers this part. I think that's all I have for today. I hope some of the tips I have shared could be useful for you. Thank you very much.
Good to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.